Hey folks, Justin Cupler here with another AutoGazine.com review. I'm in a 2017 Honda HR-V EXL Navi. This happens to be the very top of the range for the Honda HR-V lineup. If you're looking at the bottom range, you're around $19,000. If you come up to this model, you're just a tick over $24,000. I was really excited to get my hands on the HR-V because when my wife and I were debating buying a crossover, the HR-V was actually the first vehicle I thought of. It was actually the tops on our list. I was pretty much dead set on it until we decided that we really wanted the power liftgate and put that high up our priority list because my wife and I are both, well, vertically challenged, and we have 2 children, and we really need the power liftgate to help just push the button and down comes the liftgate. Well, the HR-V unfortunately did not and still does not to this day have that as an option. The RAV4 hybrid, however, did, and it really matched our desires of high fuel economy and power liftgate and blah, blah, blah. But I was excited to get a hold of the HR-V just to see how it actually drove, to see if it was something that I would enjoy had it actually come with the power liftgate. After a week of driving this thing, I'm on the fence. It's a mixed bag. Let's jump into some of the things I really like about the HR-V. First is its size. It is the perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. It doesn't look funny. It doesn't have any weird dimensions. It kind of fits well in its package. It takes some of the sellings of the fit, which, believe it or not, I actually like some of the looks of the fit, and emboldens them a little bit to make them fit a crossover. So it kind of resembles a fit, sort of, but things are inflated and bloated a little bit to fit this slightly larger SUV. I also like some bits of the interior. The interior, number one, is pretty roomy when it comes to legroom. The front has over 40 inches of legroom. The rear has just shy of 40 inches of legroom. So your average size adult is going to have no problem fitting in here. The seats are relatively comfortable. I don't necessarily like how aggressive the lumbar is on the front seats, but overall they're fairly comfortable. The back seats are pretty comfy. I also like the magic seats. The magic seats that Honda invented are simply incredible. How this works is you can lift up the front seat cushions and expose a nice long narrow cargo space. You can slide in like a plasma, or not plasma, an LCD TV or something like that, or you can fold them flat. And when I say flat, I mean literally it's flat. The seat bottoms kind of tip forward a little bit, allowing the seat backs to fold completely flat, so there's none of that weird incline like so many cars, including our RAV4, have. So we're able to slide in cargo straight in without worrying about it sitting like this. And also, in terms of that cargo space, just like the Fit, this crossover has incredible cargo room. It's over 28 cubic feet. Over 24 cubic feet of cargo space with the rear seats up, which is pretty impressive for something of this size. And what's more, it is at 58.8 cubic feet with the rear seats folded. That's massive in a small crossover. Sure, it doesn't match up with some of the big boys, but for a small crossover like this, that's a ton of space. I also like the little bits like down here, you have your climate control system that is all touch sensitive buttons. There's no physical buttons down there. Normally, I complain about that. But in this model, they're pretty responsive. There's no funny spaces that I've touched yet that didn't react. And also when you turn the vehicle off, with this turning black and the LCD screen turning black, it kind of gives it a sleek look, gives it like this black shiny appearance. That just looks good. Now, a couple things that I don't like about the Fit, and most of it's going to be inside. First of all, Honda got rid of a ton of its cheap feeling materials and some of its higher end models, but this very low cost crossover has a lot of those things brought back to try to keep the price low. It's understandable, but once you move up to the EXL package, I'd hope for some of those things to be gone. Things like the really hard plastic up here. It's a sea of black hard plastic on the dashboard up top. Your HVAC vents feel kind of cheap. I don't like this big long vent on the passenger side. It just seems forced. And it looks like Honda was trying to be cute, and instead of being cute, it just was kind of ugly. Door handles feel a little cheaper than usual. The controls feel a little cheaper. The whole center console here just seems cheap. The center armrest slides. It's really hard to get it to slide. You have to really force it, and it doesn't come up far enough to really rest your arm. You still have to push your arm back. And it actually took me 2 days of driving this thing to find out there is an armrest here. You can slide it forward because when it's in its fully back position, you're hitting the cup holder. If you push it fully up, you got a nice little armrest, but it's way too far back. As you can see, I do struggle to move this thing. Another thing I don't like is the adjustable seats. They're manual adjust, which is fine in a car of this price range. But for some weird reason, they're extremely tight. So you have to force this thing to slide up and down, just like the center armrest. I'm uncertain if it's an issue with this specific model, this specific car. Maybe from the factory they didn't lubricate the slides properly, but it's something you might want to check out when you get to the dealership. See if it is difficult to slide back and forth, because if it is, and you know, maybe you're not, strong enough, maybe you have some sort of injury, maybe you're a little bit older and you can't slide it forward and backward as easily, you might want to try it to make sure it's going to suit your needs, because you don't want to get into the car, try to slide it forward and find out, oh crap, I can't do it. Other things I don't like about the interior is the insulation. It's pretty much nil. There's a lot of engine noise. The CVT transmission drones pretty heavily. So there's a lot of engine noise that comes into the cabin. You also hear just about every bump. Everything from the outside, you hear it. Also, it's kind of rough. When you hit bumps, you feel the bumps through the floorboards. Now, it is more comfortable than most cars in this class, so don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing it for that, but it's not as comfortable as I'd hoped from a Honda. Compared to the Mitsubishi Outlander I had a few weeks ago, it's a superstar, hands down, no problem. It rides wonderfully compared to that. If I test drove that immediately before this, I'd be singing this thing's praise. But because it had a gap there, I can tell that this isn't as nice as I like. The audio system is decent, but does get a little bit buzzy at higher volumes. And the infotainment system. Let's talk about the infotainment system. God damn it, Honda, I've told you a zillion times, get rid of this stupid virtual volume button. Please add a redundant volume button. Some Hondas have it, some Hondas don't. I don't understand. Please put the redundant volume button and a redundant tuning knob, so I don't have to sit here and plunk down on some virtual button or push this button on the steering wheel. I want a manual button to turn. I want something tangible. On top of that, that's the tip of the iceberg for how bad this infotainment system is. The menu system's ridiculous. When you're in the navigation system, you can't just plunk down new destination. You have to go through this weird sequence of hitting the menu key, then hitting address, then plugging in the address. And once you get to that point and you're able to actually put in that damn address, you've got to wait and wait and wait for this thing to find the address. So let's just try it. I'm going to pull off here on the side of the road. I'm going to show you how long this thing takes to respond to me. So bear with me here. Okay, it's on the menu screen. So I'm going to hit home, home. Okay, navigation, navi. Okay, it takes me to the main navigation screen. Okay, let's hit menu. Now, wow, I'm in the address book. Thank you. 3 keystrokes. I'm finally in the address book. Okay, let's plunk in an address. I'm just going to put in some random thing here. Okay, now from here, you have to hit city. Okay, I'm going to put in, okay, my town is there. Okay, now I have to pick it again. Okay. And then I have to go, okay, which street do I want to go to? I'll go to this one that's right by my house. Okay, we'll go there. And we'll just enter 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. That should work. Okay, now I'm going to set this destination. I'll wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 seconds doing it that way. Okay, that's entering it manually. That's if you're able to stop the car, enter the thing manually. Now, I'm going to go voice control. This is even worse. This is the worst of the bunch. So, I'm going to go voice control. Where's that? There it is. Voice control.
The voice prompt can be
address.
Press the talk button to say an address command. After the beep, say the full address or just the city and state.
106 First Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida. Here's the fun part. Searching. It's searching. La la la. La la la. La.
Florida.
Oh, Florida. You recognize Florida. La la la.
Multiple cities.
Now I gotta pick the right St. Petersburg.
Press the talk button to make a select.
Okay.
St. Petersburg.
Okay, found St. Petersburg. Wow. Oh, now it's asking me for multiple First Avenues. Okay. Plunk down on that.
First Avenue South.
Okay, there we go. Oh, now it's asking me for the number. I clearly said 106, right? You heard me. 106.
106.
Oh, now I can set his destination. Okay, let's set that. Okay. Calculating. Calculating. Ah! Ha! There it is! It worked! Hallelujah! That was, I don't know how long that was. I didn't look at the clock. You can see the review, how long that took. That's kind of ridiculous. Now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. 1 second. Cancel route? Did that work?
Cancel route.
Oh, right, that worked. Thank you. Anyways, you see how frustrating it is. Imagine driving down the highway and you need to change something quickly. You got to hurry up and change the address. That took way too long to do. Way too long to do. You should be able to just say the address and it just freaking goes to it. It doesn't go Florida, St. Petersburg, First Avenue South, 106. You shouldn't have to do that. That's a little ridiculous. I'm sorry. So that's a bear. And the infotainment system in general is just not well set up. The menu options are weird. There's only a couple buttons, but you have to go through these weird sequences to get to different areas. It's just not very good. So that's a big downside of this interior. But overall, the interior is great. I gotta say, for this class of vehicle, this price of vehicle, the interior is great, especially in the EXL. It's only 24,000 bucks. You get leather, you get all kinds of nice goodies in here. And one thing I really like is on the door panels, an area where a lot of manufacturers forget. Honda remembered it. Full leather door panels on the top half. The top half is full leather. Maybe it's synthetic leather, I don't know. But it's full soft touch. It's either leather or synthetic leather, I'm not sure. It doesn't hit the plastic and take it down the bottom here, down where you're not really gonna touch. So that's a big point for me. Touch points need to be soft plastic. Or soft plastic or leather. And this is soft plastic, but unfortunately here's not. This isn't soft plastic. It's hard plastic, no leather except on the sides. Dashboard, now hard plastic. But here's nice. I'll give them credit for this. Let's talk about the engine, because that's another big downside to the Honda HR-V. It has a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine with 141 horsepower and a meager 127 pound-feet of torque. Guys, that's not much. In the Honda Fit, that's decent. I think the Honda Fit's down a few ponies. I think it's like 137, 138, and it's okay at best. But in this thing, it's a little bit larger, a little bit heavier, especially with all the features this has. It's bad. It only hits 60 miles an hour in about 10 seconds. That's a lot of time to get to 60 miles an hour in a crossover like this. They've got to work on that, especially now that Honda has that wonderful 1.5 liter turbo engine. They've got to put it in here. I know it's in the CR-V now. I understand it's in the CR-V, and I understand they don't want to cannibalize, but I think Honda can detune it a bit. Tone it down a little bit. Maybe take it down to 160 horsepower and put it into the HR-V as an option. That would make this an incredible ride. At 141 horsepower, 127 pound-feet of torque, it's just not enough. You're really working a gas pedal to get this thing moving. So please, Honda, make that 1.5 liter at least an option on this and detune it a bit so it doesn't cannibalize the CR-V. And hell, even if they didn't detune it any, it's still not going to cannibalize the CR-V, because the CR-V has so much more than the HR-V can ever offer. The HR-V really caters to a different clientele, so whether they can leave it at the full power, leave it at the full 170 something horsepower that it is, and drop it in here. Don't make this thing a rocket, dude. The all-wheel drive system, I don't live in an area where there's snow, but everything I've read about it is it's decent. It's not bad. The CVT transmission, a little bit drony. It does have paddle shifters, which is nice, makes it feel a little more like a manual or an automatic transmission, but it does get a little bit drony. But fuel economy is where this thing pretty much knocks it out of the ballpark. It is rated at 29 miles per gallon combined, 31 miles per gallon highway, and 27 miles per gallon city. Now that pales in comparison to my RAV4 hybrid. My RAV4 hybrid's at about 35 miles per gallon combined. We exceed the EPA estimates by a long shot for some reason. It's sitting about 35 miles per gallon, whereas this right now is on the nose, 29 miles per gallon combined. So it gets great gas mileage without the technological issues that can arise with the hybrid system. At 100,000, 150,000 miles, a hybrid system may get kind of pricey to fix. There's no real research on that just yet because we're just now hitting that point, but it could get pricey as things start breaking down. So 29.1 miles per gallon combined, not bad at all for a full gasoline crossover. It definitely crushes the Mitsubishi Outlander I had a few weeks ago and pretty much anything else in its class. So you're getting a bit of a trade-off there. You're trading off power and torque for fuel economy. But if Honda went with the 1.5 liter turbo, that would offset that because that turbocharged engine under lower RPMs uses less fuel. When you need that extra power, it's there. So it's a nice little balance, and I think if they switched over to the 1.5 liter turbo, it would still be able to get great gas mileage and satisfy folks who need something a little bit peppier. Handling is surprisingly good in the HRV. It's not amazing, it's not some sporty crossover, but it's surprisingly good. The steering response is quick. The steering ratio is nice. It only takes a few turns of the wheel to make a complete turn of the front wheels. So that's really nice. Zipping in and out left and right through traffic is amazing. It just takes a flick of your wrist and it's there. Like I said before, the turning radius is super tight. So turning into tight parking spaces is very easy. One thing I wish this had was a surround view camera. I know it's small and you don't have to worry about it as much, but it would still be nice to have a surround view camera on the highest trim level HRV, because you do still want to see how you're parked, if you're parked close enough on each side or with enough distance on each side from the closest car, things like that. It does have a rear view camera. It has that cool little Honda multi-angle rear view that I really like. So it does have that at least, and that kind of takes the place of the surround camera because you can kind of see where the lines are from the rear view and get an idea if you're good enough. But it would be nice to have a surround view in a model this high on the trim levels. One thing that I find kind of odd is that the HRV has no option for Honda Safety Sense. It does have the cool little side view camera, so when you put on the right turn signal and you have to turn right or change lanes to the right lane, it gives you a nice little view of what it looks like in your blind spot. So you have that's neat, but it lacks the entire Honda Sense, which has the adaptive cruise control, the automatic emergency braking, and things like that, which that all prevents it from being a top safety pick. Actually a top safety pick plus, and I don't believe this is a top safety pick. I didn't remember to look before I did the review, but I don't think it is. I believe this has only an average rating on the front overlap test, which prevents it from even getting, I think, a top safety pick rating. But everything else it did good on. Every other test the IIHS did, it got good scores. So take the good with the bad there. It is a small crossover. You have to kind of understand that these things do struggle a bit in the small overlap. Maybe with the redesigned HRV, which I don't know when it's due out, but should be a couple of years. Because I know the Fit's due very soon, and the HRV should follow the Fit. So I think it'll be a few years, and maybe by then they will have added that the Honda Safety Sense. Maybe they would have added the surround view camera. Maybe they will have fixed the small overlap test issues and things like that. So let's talk about who the Honda Fit is really good for. The Honda Fit is perfect for my family. I have 2 small children. We do a decent amount of hauling of cargo, and we need great gas mileage. If it weren't for the fact this wasn't a hybrid and it didn't have the power rear lift gate, we probably would have bought this. Because I think actually my wife is the primary driver, so I think she could have lived with the lack of power, the lack of acceleration. She could have lived with all that. She does have some issues with it. Like she said, the seats, the lumbar is a little bit too aggressive, so she doesn't like that. But overall, she thinks it's an okay crossover. And I agree with her that it is an okay crossover. So it's great for people with small children, even people with teenagers, because it does have almost 40 inches of legroom in the back. Headroom, it's okay, but it gets a little bit tight. I'm only 5'7", and I have, what, 8 inches between my head and the roof. So a 6-footer could fit in here just fine, but anyone over 6 foot may have a little bit of an issue. The back seat's the same deal. The roofline swoops down a little bit, so it gets a little bit tighter back there by roughly an inch. but still up to about 6 foot tall. You're going to have some room, but you might feel a little bit tight. And the cargo room, like I said, is amazing. So if you have to haul the kids' hockey gear or soccer gear or baseballs and baseball bats and baseball bags and all that stuff, there's lots of room back there for that. And if you need to haul bigger things, throw those seats down and you got almost 59 cubic feet of storage. You're probably not going to slide a couch back there because the opening and the hatch is too small, but you're going to fit most boxes back there. If you're going to slide back a bunch of boxes, you got lots of room back there to do it. The HRV is not good for people with, tall families. Number one, if your family is 6'4" people, it's probably not going to fit you very well. If you have more than 2 kids, that third seat is very, very tight. If you have taller children, not going to fit for you. If you want to do any towing, this is not the vehicle for you. It's not rated for towing. If you haul any tall cargo, it's not going to work for you. If you're looking for something over 30 miles per gallon combined, again, not going to work for you. You'll have to go hybrid. If you need that power liftgate like I did, not going to work for you. If you want all the safety gizmos, it's not going to work for you. So you really have to be in a specific niche to buy this car, but it can fit a broad range of people. So it's a broad niche. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, broad niche. I think that's a good term for it. People who have 2 children, under 6 foot, like to haul cargo that's not too tall or too wide. I think that fits most people probably. So if you're in a market for a small crossover, go ahead and take a look at this because it is a really good option. And you also might want to take a look at things like the Mazda 3. I haven't gotten a chance to test the Mazda CX-3. Haven't got a chance to test the Mazda CX-3 yet, and I really, really want to. Maybe I'll get a chance at that, but we'll see what happens. And you also might want to try things like, I don't know, maybe the Fiat 500X. That might work for you. The Mitsubishi Outlander Sport competes with it, but it doesn't really compete because it's so far down the food chain. But you may want to test that and see if it maybe has some things you like that this doesn't have. I don't know. I couldn't imagine that being the case, but maybe. So take a look at those vehicles also, and tune in next week. I'm not too sure what car I'm getting, but I'm supposed to be getting something else. It'll have to be a surprise. So tune in next week from an X review. Thank you so much for watching once again. Talk to you guys next week. Ciao.